Good morning again. Welcome. Chair, board members, Madam CEO, staff, members of the public. I will just remind everyone again to please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. And please, audience, be silent. I was advised that the chatter during the meeting is picked up by the mic and it causes disturbances. So please. If you're a presenter, please speak directly and loudly into the microphone, ensuring that the light is green and not red. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair, there are two members of the public wishing to provide comments. The first is Manny Folks. Please step up. And he will be commenting on items 14 and 15.
Good morning, board members, how are you? My name is Manny Folks, I'm sure Lisa knows me, I'm always calling to get information. I'm the Carpenter Union representative, I represent the carpenters that work on the construction sites on the NYCHA developments. And in reference to item 14 and 15, this company, Boggy Hunter General Construction, just wanted to bring it to your attention. I've had multiple issues with this company in the past, whether it be multiple violations of the PLA agreement with NYCHA, and also misclassification of trades work. Like they'll have a laborer do the work that's classified as a carpenter, because and then they'll pay a lower rate because the labor rate is less. So I don't know if it's an education that has to be done with with some of these contractors, because it seems to be a story where they say that they're not told or they didn't know, and if it's an education issue, then I'm more than willing to help with that. I do attend the pre-bid meetings on virtually. I explain the PLA to everyone that's in attendance. I also leave my information. If there's anyone that that needs information or some education on it, we also send letters to them once we find out that they got awarded the project. So for them to kind of say that they didn't know stuff, it's kind of hard to dispute that. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that particular company for those two items.
Thank you so much, Manny. We will either circle back with you, I will speak to our general counsel about this, just to flag it for them and our procurement department, and make sure that they are following the regulations as required.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Manny,
Thank you.
Yep, sorry.
could you tell me again, who is it that you're representing?
The Carpenters Union,
The who?
the New York City District Council
The
of
Carpenters.
Carpenters, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Folks. Next, Ursina Rivera commenting on item number 1.
Good morning, board member. Good morning, Ms. Eva Bibble. On October 12th, I put in a work order for the bedroom closet, the leak. Enough is enough. On October 13th, I did not email Ms. Eva Tribble. I called the person and I told her what was going on with the bedroom, water all over. Ms. Eva told me, don't worry, today, it was Friday. It was Friday the 13th. She will take care of that problem today. She will find the leak. And sure enough, later that day, Friday the 3rd, they found the leak. It was 2 broken pipes in apartment 18H and 18J. On October 17, the plumbers came. They already informed me that it was in the apartment fixing the pipe in 18J and 8. On October 18, this lady shows up to my apartment, Shanna from Dykeman, to see if I need any repairs. By the way, she went to the bathroom, she looked, she said she see the water thing, we're gonna paint that. And then she says, let's go to the main problem, the closet. I said, there's a little bit of problem with that closet. And she went, this is the 24th, this is my wall that I put. This is the cardboard that I put. This is my closet, the top where my shoes got the boxes, so I'm going too fast. And this is my bedroom closet. Eva, you can pass that around, I want you to take a look. And she said, but the leak was already found. Oh, I'm sorry. It said the leak was already found. I said, but I'm paranoid because the superintendent that we have, Miss David, she comes out with more excuses than excuses. And every time I put in a work order, all of a sudden she fixed the problem. As a matter of fact, on August 16, she came with the assistant property manager. And she came with the machine, see if there's any water. Of course there's water in the class. And then she went to the bathroom. She didn't say no, but before she left with the assistant property manager, she told me she fixed the problem. And this water, and the problem was that I got rid of the maintenance man. I trapped. That is not the problem. The problem is finding the leak. And by the way, it wasn't her reason why he got trampled, but we won't go into that. And then when Sharon went to look at the closet, she sees all the cardboard, and I said, listen, I don't, everything you say about Miss David, she always makes excuses. Excuses that, so I can't even call Chuck Lamore and tell him, because she's gonna make more excuses. Everything with it, in my over 20 years, I never seen a superintendent like Miss David get away with this. All this, no offense, if Gregory Ross would say, this will never happen. So this is what's going on, over and over. Oh yeah, here's the letter. Thank you, Miss Eva, twice. For always helping me out. In 2022, again she helped me out. Okay. This is for you, see, twice I'm thanking you. This is in 2022. Again, I'm thanking Ms. Eva Tribble. All of.
Mr. Rivera, can you wrap this up in about 2 minutes, please, right over here? You have about 2 more minutes.
Oh, okay, that's even better. Assistant Thomas Perez, he was working with the super, Miss David, but at that time, she never came to my apartment. And Mr. Perez found 3 broken leaks in apartment 15H, 12H, and 8J. And they fixed it, the problem. And again, this thing been going on for over 6 months. The superintendent, Ms. David, did not find the leak, didn't send anybody to look for the leak. And Ms. Eva Tribble, in one day, told them, when I called the office, Ms. Tribble called, we're going to find that leak. And like I said, they found the leak again. I got to thank Ms. Eva and bless her. So.
Thank you so much.
Now you got the pictures?
Yes.
You can keep them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Mr.
very much,
Rivera.
Mr. Rivera. Thank you so much.
And Ms. Eva, thank you,
And
have a blessed day.
We'll give these to Eva to hold on to. Thank you.
Chair, that concludes our public comments portion, and we will now proceed with the regular calendar. The first order of business is to adopt the minutes of the prior meeting of Thursday, September 28, 2023. Board, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair, seconded by?
Gavin.
Thank you, Member Gavin. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. Chair, would you like to make any remarks at this time?
No, I wouldn't, thank you. Appreciate hearing from both of our first 2 speakers.
Thank you. Madam CEO, I also invite you to make remarks at this time.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's so great to see everyone this morning. You know, October is a time that I reflect a lot on Hurricane Sandy. It was 11 years ago next week that Sandy came in and really had an incredible impact on both NYCHA and the city of New York as a whole. And so with that, 11 years later, I would love to call up Joyce Inderbrand, who is the Senior Vice President of Capital Programs, and Sean Mavani, who is NYCHA's Capital Asset Management Officer and Executive Vice President, to give an update on both capital projects, but also under the lens of the work that we have done across the NYCHA portfolio for our properties that were impacted during Hurricane Sandy. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Lisa.
Good morning, board members. So yeah, we thought we'd provide an update on Sandy, and that's most of what we have, but also just a general view on the capital portfolio, where we are today and where that's going moving forward. And in fact, the graphic on the cover page of the presentation is one of the sites that's benefited from the Sandy funding. So this is Ocean Bay, Bayside. You can see the blue kind of container-looking elements on each roof, which house the heating infrastructure. And this is an interesting project where we work with the PACT developer as the site was going PACT to do this work together with them to build resiliency into the renovation scope that was done at that site. So just moving to the next page, we thought we'd provide a brief update on the milestones that Sandy has achieved, our program, and what is the remaining schedule of work. There are 12 sites where we're still doing Sandy renovations. And then just give you a very brief overview around the capital work outside of the Sandy program that we've completed in the last 21 months or so, and where the capital portfolio is going in the next 5 years.
Next slide, please. So it's really exciting to be able to talk to you today about the work that was done as part of the Sandy program and more work that will be done. The developments that were impacted from Superstorm Sandy were across the portfolio, and actually there are people in this room who were here for that, and I have to applaud them for the emergency response immediately after the storm, which made it possible for people to stay in their homes. This presentation is really focused on that longer-term disaster recovery work. And you can see on this map the 35 developments that received that funding. They really are spread across the city. We have oceanfront, we have riverfront, we have canal adjacent, we have creek adjacent. It's different types of storm surge inundation that impacted these developments, and so you're going to see a variety of responses from the designers to try to protect them from future storms. In all, in December of 2015, NYCHA got access to $3.2 billion. This is a combination of FEMA grants, HUD, CDBG-DR, local match, and our insurance funding to fund the repairs of these developments. Next slide. Let's just take a minute to really absorb the impact of what the storm surge inundation did to the below grade and first floor spaces at these 200 buildings across 35 campuses. We're talking about flooding that inundated back of house spaces, critical infrastructure spaces, 300 first floor apartments, community spaces. Next slide, please. And also workshops and property management spaces. And so when we're talking about impacting every aspect of how the developments functioned, and really the critical infrastructure that impacted water, sewer, electrical, elevator, heat. This was, right before a blizzard hit New York on November 7th. So this was really one of the greatest disasters that had ever impacted NYCHA. Next, please. Since December of 2015, NYCHA has actually been at the forefront of investing using the disaster recovery money. By the end of this calendar year, we're looking at being 94% spent, which means that most of the money across most of the developments has been invested in roofs, entrances, new heat and hot water systems. Over 50 boilers have been turned over for use. We have 11,000 apartments that are benefiting from full backup power. And this hurricane season, 21 developments were prepared with both deployable and passive protection from storm surge. Next, please. So we actually have a number of reports, and I brought a few copies today that I'm happy to share with folks. NYCHA's been at the forefront of this work for the city. We had 20 developments that were funded for new heat and hot water systems, and what's important is not just that these systems were the modern energy efficient boilers, but that they were designed to be protected from future storms. And this has been a partnership with Keith Grossman and with Javier to really turn over systems that did not fix every problem with the developments. And I wanna be clear that $3 billion certainly took a chunk out of the PNA, but didn't solve all the problems of these developments. And so we're really partnering with heating to make sure that these assets are leveraged to provide what residents need. Next slide. We're also focused on new structures, and this was really leading the way for city planning and Department of Buildings. They took the lessons learned from the Sandy program and baked that into the new zoning ordinance and building code so that other property owners could do the same kinds of protection and construction. These buildings are accounting not only for the flood elevation, but also for sea level rise and, depending on where buildings are located, wave action. So really, we've tried to overprotect the critical infrastructure that used to be in the basements, those mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems that are so critical for the buildings to be reoccupied after a storm. In a few cases, we were able to incorporate community spaces. That building on the lower left and upper right is in Coney Island, and the community space is integrated there. In Red Hook, we're able to integrate retail, but these buildings are really focused on infrastructure. Next slide, please. The backup power generators are also a new asset for NYCHA. We're working very closely with technical services and Cal's team. 200 multifamily buildings will have full backup power. And this is a completely new set of infrastructure for the agency, natural gas powered. Many are rooftops, some are plant-based, but the goal is to work with technical services to make sure that we have both the in-house capability and third-party contracts to make sure we can maintain these generators. Some of these generators have been enrolled in utility demand response programs that allows them to earn some revenue. So if the utility is having an issue with the grid, they can ask NYCHA to take the building off the grid, and then they pay NYCHA. And right now, that's funding the entirety of the maintenance for the portfolio that's been turned over. Next slide. And then, of course, flood protection. I talked about the passive protection from those annex buildings. There were a few campuses, Bayside, Red Hook, Baruch, that are large enough that we could incorporate landscape-based protections, and those are really a very unique opportunity for NYCHA. Those are also the most disruptive projects. And then in many places, because of the site constraints, because of the locations of buildings or the type of entrances they had, we also have deployable protective elements, and this is similar to many other agencies and property owners across the city. Our neighbor to the South World Trade Center has had these for years. Many of the developers in Lower Manhattan have had to use them because of site constraints. NYCHA's gonna have a total of about 12,000 individual elements across 3 boroughs. And this is a scale of deployment that is just very new for the region. And so a side piece of the work that we're doing is really working with emergency services, Rudy Murillo's group, to try to get NYCHA queued up, both with third-party contracts, but also in the long term to work with workforce development organizations to figure out how to get trainings and certifications in place so both NYCHA employees and NYCHA residents can really be up to speed on how to work with these elements. And that's something that's gonna have to happen across the region because of the level of retrofit that New York City is gonna have to do. We just can't build all new buildings. Next slide, thank you. And then in addition to the infrastructure, certainly wherever possible, we wanted to do site improvements. Entrances, basketball courts, playgrounds, grounds, due to both the poor health of trees that were inundated by salt water and also some of the site-wide infrastructure that had to be installed. There are developments where we had to take down trees. We're gonna replace, wherever possible, 1 for 1, if not more, working very closely with the Sustainability Department and Siobhan Watson to also get additional resources so that after these trees are planted, NYCHA has support on the maintenance side and can plant additional trees where there's more room. Next, please. And we're not done. So by the end of this year, like I said, we're gonna be 94% complete. Slightly differently than other NYCHA projects that are one component at a time, what we did at these developments was really bundle together the scopes. So the idea was one contractor is on the site coordinating across roofing, lighting, community center, playground, boiler replacement, and really keeping the project moving wherever possible. That means that for many of the projects, most of the benefits are being realized by residents, but there may be one aspect or one scope item that still hasn't been closed, and that's why the project isn't closed out. Our goal is really to return areas of the property and complete scope elements so that the residents are benefiting as soon as possible. So we have 5 construction projects, really including our largest, that will go into 2024. And those are the projects that had to be phased the most because of the size and scale of the project. But I'm happy to answer any questions folks have, and I'll just leave this at the edge of the table in case folks wanna look at additional pictures. And I'll turn it back over to Sean.
So it's safe to assume that besides the facial uplift of the developments and the repairs that you're doing, for the damage that Sandy created, is it good to assume that not only you're repairing the equipment that we have, but are you also advancing it or making it better? For example, you're not just changing one boiler for another boiler, you're advancing the system that they have at certain developments? Is that a good assumption?
Well, I wanna be realistic, many of these projects were designed in 2017 and 2018. The fact that they've taken many years to complete means they were certainly an upgrade from what was there before, but we're not, the forefront of the work that the Energy Group is doing has now leapfrogged past where we were when we initially designed these projects. So these dual fuel boilers, FEMA required a level of dual fuel backup, are ready to are going to be much more energy efficient than what was there before. But realistically, FEMA did not fund everything that was needed for the heating systems. So distribution still needs additional funding and support, as do some of the ancillary elements to the heating system.
And did they also supply, for example, extra pieces, so to speak, in the event something fails to work initially?
I think you're asking about attic stock, and we are limited in what attic stock we are allowed to purchase using the capital dollars, but we're working with emergency services and heating and all the relevant departments for their individual elements to understand what attic stock the agency needs to have for maintenance going forward.
Okay, thank you, that's all I got.
Joy, excuse me, I haven't had the pleasure for 5 years to watch Joy give this a labor of love. Have we submitted some of these best practice to like the Regional Planning Association? So what we've learned so that others beyond NYCHA could?
Yeah, we work with a lot of organizations, RPA, AIA, we've done stuff with APA, we've done stuff with ULI, all the alphabet soup of professional organizations. Because NYCHA really has done what no property owner has done on the portfolio level, and we've tried lots of things that are on 70-80-year-old brick buildings that were never meant to be flood-proofed. So, the goal is really to share with whomever is interested, and I'm happy to meet with anybody you need.
Thank you.
Great, I'm just gonna give a brief overview of the remainder of our capital portfolio. As Joy highlighted, the Sandy program and our current comprehensive modernization program are our 2 kind of large-scale integrated renovation approaches. The bulk of our capital portfolio is more what we call component work, where we are triaging and prioritizing certain assets at certain sites. And so for some of the board members who are newer as well, our capital program has evolved. So before this Sandy funding came in 2015, 2016, initially, our capital portfolio in terms of spend was maybe $100 million, $200 million a year. This year we'll probably go over $1 billion for the first time. And as we have about, as Joy highlighted, $200 to $300 million left on the Sandy side, the bulk of that spending is actually our component portfolio. And so what you can see on this page, we're utilizing about $750 million a year across a large number of projects that are more component type projects. So in 2022 and 23, we finished 183 projects. One project can mean multiple assets. If it's a roofing project, it could mean 20 different roofs at a development, or if it's a heating project, multiple boilers or other aspects of the system. So this will give you a sense at a project level, not so much at an asset level, of the work we've been doing, and there's some photos of the different type of component work we do that varies from roofs and facades and elevators and heating to community centers, CCTV, grounds work, and other types of work, including lobbies and intercom systems, et cetera. And so that's kind of what we've completed in the last 21 months or so. And just moving to the last page, this is what our portfolio looks like today, excluding the Sandy work. So we have about $5 billion of active project budget. That correlates to 502 projects. You can see how they break down on the left. Obviously, these are largely the HUD pillars, waste management, elevators, heating, and a range of other areas. So over the next 3 to 4 years, we'll be continuing to expend about $1 billion a year. And then we have a additional set of planned projects, around 370, with $2 billion of budget coming from the city, state, and federal level over the next 5 years. And again, those are largely focused on the HUD pillars, but there are a range of other asset types that we're also replacing through the capital portfolio. Thank you. If there's any questions, I can take them.
Thank you, both of you, for your work.
Thank you so much. Before we begin our presentation of the items, I'm going to call up Jacqueline Sullivan and Oliver Ostwin so that we can quickly introduce two reports into the record. Jacqueline Sullivan, Vice President for Healthy Homes, will move into the record the quarterly temporary suspension report on mold and ventilation-related contracts, change orders, and contract capacity increases. This report was previously provided to the board. Jacqueline, do you so move?
I do.
Great. Thank you. Oliver?
Thank you both.
Vice President for Project Management will move into the record Asset and Capital Management Division's quarterly capital projects expenditures and temporary suspension report on elevator modernization, heating plant, and waste management contracts. These reports were previously provided to the board. Do you so move?
I do.
Okay, let the record reflect that the aforementioned reports are hereby incorporated into and made a part of the record. Thank you both. We move to the calendared items, proceeding to items 1 through 27. Arlene Orenstein, item number 1. I just want to remind all the presenters that the board members have been provided with the items previously and have reviewed it, so please present on the pertinent aspects of your item only. Thank you so much.
Good morning, board members. You've already been introduced to me, Arlene Orenstein. Item 1 requests your authorization to award the property and terrorism insurance policies at a premium of $23,435,562.08. The program will have an annual term commencing October 30th of this year, continuing to October 30th of 2024. All-risk property and terrorism insurance provides coverage to the authority for direct losses caused by or resulting from damage to NYCH's physical property by a broad range of causes, including but not limited to fire, earthquake, named storm and flood, and acts of terrorism. The recommended property program will be provided by a variety of insurers to reach the program limits of $250 million per occurrence and in the aggregate, and subject to the following deductibles. $5 million per occurrence for named storm and flood, $1 million for all other perils, a 48-hour waiting deductible for business and service interruption, and $50,000 for damage to property in transit. The recommended terrorism policies will continue to provide $150 million per occurrence and in the aggregate, and be subject to a $100,000 deductible. Therefore, I'm recommending that the board approve the purchase of the property and terrorism insurance program policies, all effective October 30th of 2023, for an annual 1-year term and a total premium of $23,435,562.08. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Arlene. Item 2, Jeffrey.
Good morning, board members. I'm Jeffrey Leslie, Vice President and Controller of New York City Housing Authority, and presenting resolution number 2, which seeks authorization to ratify the entering into this agreement with Wells Fargo for monthly rent billing, remittance processing of rental payments and related services, which commenced on December 22nd, 2022, and is continuing through June 30th, 2024. There are no renewal options. The not to exceed amount of the agreement is $2.6 million even. This agreement is necessary to cover the transition to JP Morgan, the new service provider. The single source agreement provides printing and mailing the monthly rent bills to tenants, both commercial and residential, electronic presentment of the rent bills, remittance processing of payments received by mail at the lockbox, online and telephone payments by debit cards, credit cards, and electronic checks, accepting and aggregating payments received through other banks and licensed money transmitters. The approval to enter into this agreement prior to board approval was received by the Supply Management and Procurement Department from the Chief Procurement Officer on April 12, 2023. The single source agreement was awarded on April 12, 2023. A vendor name check dated January 25, 2023 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Department, which found no issue to preclude the award. Therefore, I recommend that the members approve such board resolution and permit the ratification of entering into this agreement. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Items 3 through 8.
Good morning. Board members and colleagues, my name is Tony Maldonado. I'm the Vice President of Purchasing, Logistics, and Inventory, and I will be presenting items 3 through 8 on behalf of Sergio Paninque, NYCHA's Chief Procurement Officer, for your consideration. Please note all the items I will be presenting are for goods only, therefore a Section 3 hiring plan is not required. Item number 3 seeks authorization to award a requirement contract for Independent Hardware Incorporated in the amount of $1,808,840.85 for the selected 15 out of 26 line items for the purchase and delivery of hardware for doors. This is a 3-year requirement contract with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. A vendor name check dated July 18, 2023 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issues to preclude award. Item number 4 seeks authorization to ratify the award of a requirement contract to Type Corp in the amount of $3,695,822.50 for the selected 4 items out of 14 for the purchase and delivery of masonry materials, plaster, and lime. This is a 3-year requirement contract with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. A vendor name check dated March 31st, 2023 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issue to preclude award. Item number 5 seeks authorization to ratify the award of a requirement contract to Temple Glass Fabrication LLC in the amount of $1,747,819.28 for the selected 12 out of 23 line items for the purchase and delivery of structural glass supplies. This is a 2-year requirement contract with 3 one-year renewal options to be renewed automatically unless the authority at its sole discretion provides written notice of its intent not to renew prior to the expiration of the term. There is a negative 57.32 variance between Tempo's bid and the authority's cost estimate, which is attributed to Tempo being the manufacturer that has the capability to offer low prices and consequently pass them on to the authority. Vendor name check dated May 18, 2023 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issues to preclude award. Item number 6 seeks authorization to ratify the award of a requirement contract to West Coast Distribution Incorporated in the amount of $2,234,453.50 for the selected 27 out of 61 line items for the purchase and delivery of electrical indoor fixtures, heaters, and connectors. This is a 5-year requirement contract with no renewal options. There is a negative 35.51% variance between West Coast bid and the authority's cost estimate, which is attributed to a decrease in the price of raw materials used to manufacture these products, along stabilized transport and shipping costs. Westco took this updated pricing as well as the authority's estimated quantities throughout the life of the agreement into consideration, minimizing its margins to be no more than 10 to 15% per line item. This allowed a competitive price that was significantly less than the authority's cost estimate. Vendor name check dated February 21st, 2023 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issue to preclude award. Item number 7 seeks authorization to ratify award of a requirement contract to Claddagh Controls Corp. in the amount of $6,360,611.02 for the purchase and delivery of elevator parts. This is a 5-year requirement contract with no renewal options. There is a negative 36.86 variance between Claddaugh's bid and the authority's cost estimate, which is attributed to Claddagh being the manufacturer of these items, which resulted in lower prices and savings to the authority. Vendor name check dated November 18th, 2022 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issues to preclude award. Item number 8 seeks authorization to ratify the award of requirement contract to JAG Corp of America in the amount of $13,265,648 for the purchase and delivery of compacted cartridge bags. This is a 3-year requirement contract with 2 1-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. Vendor name check dated June 22nd, 2023 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issues to preclude award, and that the vendor is deemed responsible for contract with NYCHA. Any questions?
Thank you, Tony. 9 and 10, Hal.
Good morning, Cal Bruno, Vice President of Technical Services. I'll be presenting items 9 and 10 for your consideration. Item number 9 is requesting authorization to approve a contract increase to a requirement contract awarded to American Pipe and Tank Lining for annual gravity water tank inspections, cleaning, and water sampling at developments citywide. This increase is needed in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term and the first 1-year renewal option, which commenced on November 17, 2021, and is continuing through November 16, 2024. The scope of work includes all labor, material, and equipment needed to inspect, clean, and take water samples of our gravity tanks in order to safeguard the authority residents' domestic water supply and to comply with New York City health and plumbing codes. The capacity increase being requested is $1,127,764.75, which will increase the not to exceed amount to $2,255,529.50. The Section 3 hiring plan total estimated labor hours is 4,000, and the Section 3 total projected labor hours is 1,000.
Proceed.
Item 10 is requesting authorization to approve a contract increase to a requirement contract awarded to Cool & Guard Mechanical for preventive maintenance and repair of HVAC systems. This increase is needed to fund the continued provisions of services through the remainder of the initial 2-year term, which commenced on February 10, 2023, and will continue through February 9, 2025. The scope of work includes all labor, material, and equipment needed to perform preventive maintenance and repair or replacement of HVAC systems at the police service areas. The capacity increase being requested is $1,111,428.59, which will increase the not to exceed to $2,222,857.18. The Section 3 hiring plan total estimated labor hours is 200, and the Section 3 total projected labor hours is 50. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Robin, 11.
Good morning, members of the board. Robin Yankovitz, Vice President of Labor and Employee Relations. And I'm presenting calendar item 11, which is seeking authorization to enter into the 2021.
Excuse me, Robin, can you speak into the mic? Thank you.
I'm short, I guess I didn't realize. Enter into the 2021-2027 Memorandum of Agreement with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Local 237, which is relating to economic matters for approximately 6,145 cleaning, maintenance, and property management employees serving in 19 different housing unique titles, commencing on December 30th, 2021, and continuing through May 31st, 2027. The terms of the agreement include 5 separate general wage increases of 3%, 3% compounded, and 3.25% compounded, effective December 30th, 2021, December 30th, 2022, December 30th, 2023, December 30th, 2024, and December 30th, 2025 respectively. 1 3.25% increase to additions to gross, which is effective December 30th, 2025. A $200 per annum increase to welfare fund contributions, effective December 30th, 2025. Available funds not to exceed a 0.5% value of the December 31st, 2020 payroll, including spin-offs and pensions, for additional compensation funds, effective December 30th, 2025. A 1% value of the December 31st, 2020 payroll, including spin-offs and pensions, for equity payments, and one $3,000 ratification bonus for each eligible employee. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ron.
Just, I mean, 2021 already happened.
Correct.
So this has been.
It's all retroactive.
Correct, it'll be retroactive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Item 12. Carrie?
Good morning, board members. I'm Carrie Ju, Executive Vice President, Chief Administrative Officer of the Authority. I'm presenting Board Resolution number 12 today, and with this resolution, I'm requesting to ratify a contract capacity increase to the agreement with the New York City Office of Labor Relations for inclusion of employee data in the New York City Automatic Payroll System, NICAPS, which did not require initial board authorization. The agreement was subsequently amended for an initial 2-year term with 3 one-year renewal options to increase the not-to-exceed amount in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the 3rd one-year renewal option term, which began on March 28th, 2023 and is continuing through March 27th, 2024. The contract capacity increase is for $332,726.40. This agreement provides for the inclusion of employee data in NICAPS. The agreement allows for NYCHA to transfer health benefits information regarding NYCHA's retirees to the city's premium accounting and central enrollment system, PACES, for the inclusion of employee data in NICAPS. The Office of Labor Relations administers the healthcare benefits of NYCHA's employees and retirees by accessing employee data in NICAPS. OLR communicates as necessary with insurance companies on our behalf, processes our biweekly payments to the health plans, reviews and processes all payments on behalf of the authority for special leave of absence coverage and retroactive premiums, administers the Medicare Part B reimbursement program for eligible authority retirees, reviews and approves all domestic partner enrollment documentation of eligibility, processes all related enrollment transactions, and manages payments of annual and periodic Medicare reimbursements to all eligible authority retirees and/or dependents. The contract capacity increase is required to allow the authority to continue to process outstanding invoices for the services rendered by OLR and to ensure the continued provision of the services previously mentioned. The approval to issue this contract capacity increase to the agreement prior to board approval was received by the Supply Management and Procurement Department from the Chief Procurement Officer on April 19th, 2023. And therefore, I'm requesting your approval to ratify this contract capacity increase of $332,726.40 to the agreement with OLR for the continued inclusion of employee data in the New York City automated payroll system through March 27, 2024. Any questions?
Thank you, Carrie. Oliver, you may come up, but before we proceed to items 13 through 19, Board Member Wright, I understand that you may have to leave before we adjourn the meeting. After your review of all 27 items, how do you vote? Do you approve all 27 items?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. The record will so reflect. Thank you. Oliver.
Also,
Board
it's
members?
freezing in here.
Thank you.
Good morning, board members and colleagues. I'm Oliver Oswin, Vice President for Project Management and Capital Programs. I'll be presenting the next 7 items. I'm bundling the first 4, they're all for roof replacement contracts. So items 13 through 16 seek authorization to award 4 contracts for roofing replacement and rooftop structure renovation at Gun Hill, Douglas 2, Stewart Park Extension, and more houses, in the amounts of $15,182,458, $8,709,674, $4,373,617, and $4,782,812 to Zoria Housing LLC, Bagiana General Construction Inc., and ABCD Construction Corp. Respectively. The projected Section 3 labor hours are 16,800, 3,500, 2,450, 3,916 respectively.
I had one question.
Yes.
When I looked at the Douglas, the next one, same number of buildings, same number of roofs, but this one was twice as expensive. Is there some additional work that goes on with this one? It's not true for the others?
Off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to answer. It could be that it's different heights of buildings, and it could be different site conditions that require different types of mobilization. But I can look into that if you'd like.
I didn't ask on the call, and I apologize for that, but it just struck me that there was a difference here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Proceed.
With item 17, which seeks authorization to approve a change order in the amount of $1,977,910 to the contract with S&M Builders for exterior renovation at Ingersoll Houses. During construction, the field conditions revealed more areas to be repaired or replaced than originally shown in the contract documents. The revised contract amount will be $28,850,048. There will be 5 additional Section 3 hires.
Proceed.
Item 18 seeks authorization to reject the sole bid for a fire alarm replacement contract at the Hughes Apartments Community Center. The sole bidder, J&H Electrical Contracting, was deemed non-responsive for failing to complete the form of proposal as per requirements. ANCM will consider rebidding this work under an IDIQ contract in the future. Item 19 seeks authorization to reject all bids for an IDIQ contract for grounds improvements at various developments citywide. The estimate was $14,995,814. 5 bids were received. The scope of work includes but isn't limited to removal and replacement of various pavements and curbs, installation of new play equipment, safety surfacing, steel bar fencing, site furnishings, lighting, spray showers, and renovations to basketball courts. And the reasons for rejection include the bid significantly exceeded the authority's estimates, and the bidders failed to submit the required contractor experience forms or bid bonds. ANCM will reevaluate the specifications and rebid the IDIQ contract.
Thank you,
Thank
Oliver. 20 and 21, Michelle.
Thank you. Hello, board members. My name is Michelle Moore. I'm the Vice President of Comprehensive Modernization, and I'm here to present 2 items today, number 20 and 21. Comprehensive modernization of a property entails undertaking major renovations across building systems, buildings, apartment interiors, site, and grounds through a single integrated project. Through this program, NYCHA is developing enhanced resident engagement, project delivery, design and construction methodologies to effectively modernize the authority's properties through direct capital investments. For item number 20, we're seeking authorization to enter into 1 design-build contract for comprehensive modernization design and construction services at Toad Hill Houses to Community Modernization Group. This contract is in the exact amount of $150,280,000. The scope of work includes the abatement of hazardous materials, design and construction services, kitchen and bathroom renovations, full plumbing replacements, local law 11 facade renovations, new ventilation systems, the replacement of electric distribution infrastructure within each building, elevator replacements, pest and waste upgrades, the replacement of all windows, replacement of benches and other site improvements, construction communication support, and the temporary relocation of residents during construction. For item 21, we're seeking authorization to enter into one design-build contract for comprehensive modernization, design, and construction services at St. Nicholas Houses to St. Nicholas Revitalization Partners. The contract amount is the exact amount of $477,040,000. The scope of work includes the abatement of hazardous materials, design and construction services, kitchen and bathroom renovations, full plumbing replacements, local law 11 facade repairs and renovations, new ventilation systems, the replacement of electric distribution infrastructure within the buildings, including the full electrification of heating systems with electric heat pumps and electric cooking stoves. Elevator replacements, pest and waste upgrades, improved building entries, the replacement of all windows, significant building envelope improvements, accessibility upgrades, landscape and site improvements, construction communications, and the temporary relocation of residents during construction. If you have any questions?
Thank you, no, this is interesting. Are these the first design build contracts we've entered into?
These are not the first design build contracts. NYCHA's heating portfolio utilized design build for many of those projects. These are the first large scale comprehensive modernization projects.
And so each of these has a general contractor and or a prime and then a bunch of subs.
So they have a design build entity, which is a group of designers and contractors with series of subs underneath them.
Are they fixed price?
Yes, it's a lump sum procurement, and the firms competed who can provide the best value to NYCHA, the most scope, and the best proposals were selected.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have just a statement and a question. Whenever you have to relocate or move, it's always an arduous and can be a daunting task. My question is, has any provisions been made for the residents, particularly the seniors and the disabled, to assist them in moving? Because you said they're going to be relocated for, I believe, 6 to 9 months.
Correct. So within the contract, the design build entities are required to have a relocation specialist as part of their team that are there to make an individual family move plan with each apartment. We've been doing resident engagement for the past 2 years at these properties so that this doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. And NYCHA is covering all reasonable move expenses, licensed insured movers, packing expenses, and that one-on-one support for the families to help the process to move out of the apartment and then back in.
And I'd also just like to add that we're also starting to hold vacancies at these sites and neighboring sites to these developments in order to make sure that we're keeping families in their communities, whether it's families with kids that have nearby schools or seniors or others that have doctors and other needs. Our goal is to make sure that they're remaining in their neighborhood and not their development.
You mentioned the improvement of front entrances and electrical issues. So, is it safe to say that the key fobs and in the front entrances, are they going to be switched or improved or which?
So both developments currently have key fob systems, layered access controls now.
Correct.
Toad Hill Houses does not have that scope of work in their contract. They will make sure that the systems are fully functioning once the construction is completed in each building. But at St. Nicholas Houses, we're gonna see improvements to that system and upgrades to make sure that it is fully functioning and goes with the entire new building entry and facade that is being proposed as part of this renovation. So we'll be, at St. Nicholas, it will be a brand new system.
And you will be conferring with the current vendor there for that particular issue?
So we'll be working directly with property management and others. While the renovation is going on, the design builder will be responsible for securing each building that they're working in, and property management will work on the other buildings that have not been turned over to the design builder for the work, so they will work with the existing vendor there to make any repairs as needed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Michelle. Edwin? Items 22 through 24.
Good morning, board members. I am Edwin Mendez, Deputy Director for Energy Programs for Sustainability within Asset and Capital Management Division. I am here to present items 22 through 24. Items 22 and 23 seek authorization to amend board resolutions 23-7/26-20 and 23-7/26-21, which authorized the entering into two agreements with Sherwood Design Engineer PC and WSP USA Incorporated for cloudburst infrastructure designs at various developments in the total amount not to exceed of $7,120,310.62. Subsequent to board authorization, ANCM determined that both board resolutions contained typographical errors with contract numbers incorrectly stated. Contract number for board resolution 23-7/26-20 awarded to Sherwood is 231-3344. And the correct contract number for board resolution 23-7/26-21 awarded to WSP is 231-3343. Item number 24, in which we respectfully seek authorization to reject all bids for a contract to provide for the installation of NYCHA's Retrofit New York Net Zero Energy Project at Ravenswood Building 12. The project was designed to demonstrate the use of pre-engineered panels that will clad the exterior of the building and bring it towards net zero energy. NYCHA's construction cost estimate for this project is $18,210,395. We received 3 bids for the solicitation. The lowest bidder submitted a bid in the amount of $27,739,000, which is 52.3% above the authority's cost estimate. ANCM deemed the excessive for the value of the work to be performed. The other 2 bids received for this contract included a vendor who was deemed non-responsive and a vendor whose bid far exceeded the budget for this project. This was the second attempt to procure a construction contract for Retrofit New York. The contract will not be sent for another rebid. ANCM intends to terminate this project at this phase due to the inability to procure construction services within the existing budget. Therefore, ANCM has requested authorization to reject all bids. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 25, Rebecca.
Good morning, board members. My name is Rebecca Fitzgerald. I'm the Senior Design Program Manager for Real Estate Development. And I'm presenting item number 25, which seeks authorization to approve a contract capacity increase to an IDIQ agreement for architectural services at various PACT developments. The combined total increase amount is $950,000. The background for the request is as follows. The IDIQ agreement for architectural services was awarded to Peterson Rich Office and commenced in March of 2021. The term of the contract is an initial 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options, which will continue automatically for a total term of 5 years. The agreement was awarded by the Real Estate Development Department, and the original not to exceed amount for the contract was $950,000. The vendor provides architectural services for the PACT program, including ongoing design review and community planning support for PACT projects throughout procurement and pre-development phases. The reason for the requested increase are as follows. The PACT program has a goal to provide comprehensive repairs to 1/3 of the authority's portfolio of developments, which is approximately 62,000 units. As of today, there are 69 developments, or 19,001 units, which have completed construction or are under construction, and another 69 developments or 18,708 units in a planning, procurement, or pre-development phase. At the time that the RFP for the agreement with Peterson Ridge Office was issued, there were fewer authority developments and phases that required the architectural services of the vendor. With increases to the number of authority developments and phases requiring their services, demand for their services has increased. We estimate that an additional $950,000 will be required for this IDIQ agreement to address additional work. We're not requesting an extension of the term of the contract, and the vendor has provided a Section 3 plan to NYCHA. It does not project any Section 3 labor hours, but commits to purchase supplies and materials from Section 3 business concerns in the amount of 3% of the contract award. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Young, item 26.
Good morning, board members. I'm Young Soo, Director of R&R or the Sandy Program. ANCM seeks authorization to approve a contract increase to an IDIQ JOC with GEMCO for general construction at Red Hook East and Red Hook West. This $4.5 million increase is needed to restore grounds at Red Hook as we close up construction, and we aim to finish by next year, towards the later part of next year. A revised Section 3 hiring plan has been submitted. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And item 27.
Everyone else. Good morning, everyone. My name is Liza Dam. I'm a Deputy Director for Transactions in the Real Estate Development Department, and I'm presenting item number 27 today. And I believe we had a presentation. Thank you. Item 27 relates to the initial HUD applications for upcoming PACT conversions. And if you wouldn't mind scrolling through as I read through the sites, I would appreciate it. We are seeking board approval to submit the initial RAD and Section 18 applications to HUD for a number of upcoming PACT projects. In Manhattan, Campos Plaza 2, Manhattanville, next one, and Wrangell. And in the Bronx, 1010 East 178th Street, Moore, East 152nd, and East Chester Gardens. As we do with each PACT project, we come to the board first for authorization to submit these initial applications, and then we will return to the board for authorization to complete the PACT transaction. And that request will include additional detail on the project sites and the transaction, including a summary of the proposed PACT partner team, financing, resident engagement, and Section 3 hiring. Please let me know if there's any questions.
Thank you, Liza.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chair, 27 items were presented for board approval. May I have a motion to approve 27 items with a notation in the record that Board Member Wright indicated in the record that her approval of all 27 items.
So moved, Gavin.
Thank you.
Seconded, Vice
Chair. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you so very much. Being that all matters before the board chair have been addressed, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll move.
Seconded by?
Vice.
Thank you. I'll take Member Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you so much. The recorded end time is 11:08 a.m. Thank you all. The next NYCHA board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 30, 2023 at 10 a.m. in person. So happy Thanksgiving. See you then.
Eva.
Yeah. Please, please, please.